Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Capricorn, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of May 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Night Sun Tarot for you today, which is very much in alignment to the intensity of the energy that I felt in the meditation before I started your reading. So I'll be interested to see what comes out in this today. But before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to the 6-month overviews for each of the signs. Now that runs from January to June 2023, so obviously we are some way through that period now, but we still do have a couple of months left. So if you're interested in checking it out, I have reduced the prices accordingly, and I would just like for for the stuff to get out. I actually did yours twice. There was no audio on the first one that I did. It was like nearly 4 hours of my life that I was not going to get back, but I did it again. So I'd really just like for as many people to hear it as possible. So if that's of interest to you, you know what to do. And the final link is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, which is over on Circle. You can get access to all of the extended content, including, the monthly extendeds and the 6-month overviews. And there's a stellar group of people hanging out over there. We've just started setting up classes on various different esoteric modalities and associated things. So if that's something that is of interest to you, you know what to do. Let's have a look, Capricorn, and see what's going on with you. Can I have 3 cards for Capricorn, please? Well, there's the first. We had the High Priestess in your recent past. About current energy, please. We have the 5 of Pentacles in your current energy. Let's just flip this around so you can look at that rather than me. And what's coming towards Capricorn in May, please. Thank you. We have the Page of Pentacles with the 4 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So I feel compelled to tell you that whatever you feel like you might be losing at this point, it ain't necessarily so. I think that's the way I want to go with that one. So let's just give these a shuffle and get some clarifiers out, see what's going on with you beyond. Actually, what's underneath here? 9 of Cups. Yeah. All right. Tell me about the High Priestess, please. Where's that here for Capricorn? We have the Sun. And we have the Temperance card. Tell me about the 5 of Pentacles. We have the Page of Swords. And we have... Now, did these come out in the upright or the reverse? I'm not sure. I'm going to put them that way around for now. Tell me about the Page of Pentacles, please. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, which has spun out into the reverse, and the 10 of Wands. So 9 of Wands is at the bottom of the deck as well. And I think it's probably fair to say that whatever's going on with you this month, whatever's going on with you currently and what is going on with you in May is going to be somewhat challenging. I feel like there's something astrologically that's going on up in the sky that affects Capricorn specifically, maybe cardinal signs specifically, but I cannot quite bring to mind what it is. So if you're interested, maybe go and check that out for yourselves. But let's start with the shadow cards at the bottom of the deck. We've got this 4 of Pentacles here, and we've got the 9 of Wands, and both of these speak to almost a feeling of desperation. I don't think it's overstating it to call it desperation. The 4 of Pentacles does feel like it's something that you are trying to hold on to. Now, this could be a relationship, it could be a situation, it could be actually some facet of the way that you understand yourself, in so much as it could be, an ego position that you are trying to maintain. That's possible. But we have this 9 of Wands here too. Now, this 9 of Wands talks about boundaries, it talks about resilience, it talks about all of those things. But the combination of the two together, trying to hold on to something, and then we've got this chap here who's, clinging to a wand. He's got a bandage on his head. He's looking a little bit worse for wear, but he's also got this, really quite hunted look on his face. like he is anticipating some sort of battle. It feels like you are being somewhat tested this month by the energies of this month. Well, this whole period, really. I mean, we could be talking about, a 6-week run, really, that is on some sort of fundamental level character building. I think that's probably the way we euphemistically talk about it, right? Character building. But it feels like it's making you dig in a little bit. Now, not dig in as in being stubborn. Oh, sorry about the facial contortions. I have very swollen and black knee from a snowboarding incident on Monday night. It's getting better, but it's still a little bit painful. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, not digging in as in needing to be stubborn or to maintain a position, that you're under attack from or anything like that. But digging in terms of trying to see what sits beyond what it is that you are holding on to. Now, that sounds kind of counterintuitive, because if you're trying to hold on to something really, really hard, the last thing you're doing is casting around and looking for new opportunities and new cool things that are coming towards you. But that seems to be where the energy is shifting you this month. And I don't, quite honestly, Capricorn, I don't think you're going willingly. Now, we've got this trifecta of major arcana cards right at the beginning here. And this is your recent past. That could be this morning. It could be as far away as 6-7 weeks ago. But it's relatively recent. And we have the energy of Pisces and Leo and Sagittarius all at play. Now, these are all really rather positive. The High Priestess is a card of wisdom and intuition. She's certainly a card of being open to the wisdom of the universe making its way into your head. The Sun card talks about joy, and there's that same feeling of openness, except in this case it's a kind of vulnerability. And then we have the Temperance card, which is allowing healing and moderation and balance to play a part in your mindset. The thing is, I feel like we've only got half of the story here, so I've picked up another deck because I am going to pull some more cards. Tell me about these 3 major arcana cards. We need to know about these. We've got the Page of Pentacles, so we've got something initiating. We have the 7 of Cups, so, some aspect of confusion around the possibility of this. And then the High Priestess again. I feel like you've been struggling somewhat with something here. We've got the 6 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, and that generally is movement. And I think something is changing around you. The thing is, with these 2 cards being the first ones, I don't think that you are initiating some sort of move. I think it is something that is trying to separate itself from you. There's a detachment that you intuitively feel. Or maybe it's a very obvious, very direct separation. You'll just have to take it as it resonates to you. That is heralding something new that I think that you're not quite ready for. The question of why it is that you're not quite ready for this, well, possibly it's a very sudden thing, but I don't think that that's necessarily true for you, Capricorn. I think this is something that's been on the radar for a little while, but for whatever reason, perhaps because you haven't really known how it is that you feel about it, you've sort of shelved it. And maybe you've been hoping for some sort of, divine guidance moving forward, some sort of sign, some sort of synchronicity that you're on the right path, or that you need to shift, or, you need to change direction. And for whatever reason, it just has not come. Now, the whatever reason, I think, is quite important, because that 7 of Cups is sitting in the middle. And, we like to think that if life is, progressing satisfactorily, like we are doing what we're supposed to do, we'll get a sign that will confirm that. And conversely, if we're headed down the wrong path, we also hope that there will be some sort of sign that will tell us that we're not doing that. But there are occasions where no such sign, no such synchronicity makes an appearance. And I've experienced those periods in my life before, and it really does feel like you have been cut adrift by the universe. It's like, show me the fucking way, and nothing appears. Literally nothing. It's almost like the phone line has been cut between you and the universe. And I think this Temperance High Priestess twice, and maybe it's even the addition of the Sun, which for me does speak about consciousness, is very slowly shoving you towards a realization that actually all of the information that you need is already on the table. What is stopping you from being able to, or what has been stopping you from being able to make some sort of decision about the direction of travel, is your own tangled emotions around the subject. Now, as a cardinal sign, you are designed to point the way, lead the way, almost in some respects. And there's something that seems to have kind of pulled the rug out from underneath you on this, because that cardinal energy that you are so used to wielding seems to have ended up in the hands of somebody else. And now you're almost trotting behind what somebody else is trying to achieve. And trying to make up time, make up some sort of space in this, being all like, no, this is all wrong. Like, I'm supposed to be leading the way. Why am I following you? Why am I in this incredible, confusing mess of emotions about a particular thing when I'm supposed to be leading the way out of it? And I think that this is really important, because what it does point to is your emotions being the sticking point in this situation. The emotions being the sticking point around your consciousness. Let's get this out here. We've got the Deviant Moon. Tell me about just the Seven of Cups, please. We've got the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Swords. I mean, well, that is absolutely bang on, right there. The wheel is turning. Something is in motion. Five of Wands at the bottom of the deck. You're really not very comfortable with the way that it is going. It does seem like events have somewhat been overtaking you. And Eight of Swords. You're stuck here, trapped by your own mind, because in your mind it feels like there should only be one way that things play out. And that's where you are being the cardinal sign that you are, and you are pointing the way. But it seems like the universe has different ideas. And it's your emotional response to this, Capricorn, that is actually where the growth is. This is where the direction of travel is. You know, these times where the signs and the synchronicities and the sense of being guided and all that sort of thing are absent from the discourse, I have discovered, painfully over the course of time, that it's the point at which we need to stop looking for external indicators of success, right? External indicators that we are on the right path, and we need to start going within and looking at how we deal with our emotions, what our emotions actually are. It feels to me that there's a great deal of something that has been bubbling up to the surface, and because externally you're still looking for some sort of vindication that holding on is the right thing to do, you're missing what is going on in here. Like, it's like the way out is through, and it has to be through you and through your emotions. Like, what is keeping you static from a mental point of view is the absolute slamming on of the anchors that your subconscious has done. Gone, no, this is too emotional, this is too difficult, we're not going down this road. But the Wheel of Fortune indicates that there is something here for you to learn about the situation. I do notice that we've actually got a broken heart at the top of the Wheel of Fortune there, which is tallying very nicely with the idea that what is occurring outside of you does feel emotionally overwhelming, or at least has the potential to be emotionally overwhelming. And even in here in this, I love the Deviant Moon deck, I really do. Even in this card here, right, we've got, and let me put that so you can see it. Right, we've got this character here that's hanging out of a church window, But notice here the moon up in the sky is actually sucking on this person's head. It's like it's difficult for you to know which way to turn, which way to go, because fucking hell, it's not even that bright outside. Let's see if I'll lean over this a little bit. Because at every step you're trying to rationalize your way out of this situation, and what is actually required is for you to sit with your emotions and sift them out. Now, I think that you're probably being triggered on quite a few levels, because there's the situation that is in front of you and all of that, you know, everything that involves, but there's something else that's being triggered here, Capricorn. Could it be the loss of control? Possibly. You know, like I said, it feels like the reins have been handed over to someone else to be cardinal rather than you. That you are somewhat at the you know, mercy of the fates in here, and that would be a deeply uncomfortable position for you to be in. But there's something even deeper than that going on here. There's something even more internal being triggered. And I think the problem is that it's not possible for you to move forwards until you identify what that is. It's a multi-layered situation, and you might believe that you are responding to the situation that is in front of you, but actually in reality there's something very close to an old situation, some sort of pattern that is repeating, that is actually causing the problem. Let's see if I can see where this fucking, it's not really coming from anywhere. Up there. No. Sorry, there's not much I can do about this. I'm just going to lean across it. So, this is where you have been in your recent past. This has all been playing out. Where we are in the current energy is even more perplexing, and I suspect it's because you haven't got to the bottom of whatever this is referring to here. You know, we've got the Page of Swords there, which means that there is some level of information flowing at least, and we've got the Seven of Swords in reverse, but the Queen of Cups is in reverse. And I wonder if this is, you know, the Five of Pentacles deals with poverty, you know, actual poverty as in financial, but it can also speak to the poverty that is experienced on an emotional level or on a spiritual level, you know? Even on a mental level. I'm not quite sure how that would manifest itself, but you know, it speaks to something being leaving you in a state of feeling like you have nothing. There's an absolute powerlessness about this, and it could be that the information that has, you know, kind of worked its way through to your mind is that you can't pretend anymore. You cannot deceive yourself anymore. Oh, now this is off in lots of different layers here, Capricorn. Let's move through them in turn. Either you cannot pretend anymore that somebody cares about you. That's a big one. It's almost like, you know, your subconscious has been ducking and diving what has been an obvious situation. You know, maybe it's an ex who you are absolutely convinced still loves you, but they've taken up with someone else and they've been with them for years now, and they're doing their thing, you know, and it's like suddenly the penny's kind of dropped, and it's like, well, actually years have gone by. Maybe what it is that you haven't got over this person. And the second interpretation is, I feel, almost more valid, because I see the Five of Pentacles as being the way that we fail to meet our own basic needs in the first instance. It's not being able to deceive yourself anymore about the lack of care that you have for yourself. You know, the Queen of Cups is very much about the way that you receive things. Like, all the queens are receptive, but the Queen of Cups is particularly receptive. It's Cancer energy, and it's very much to do with emotions. And so there's a question here of how much you allow people to love you, and maybe that's been a problem over the course of time. It's just that actually, you know, your love language is one that has excluded ways of showing love that were important to people around you in the past. This could be your children, this could be your siblings, this could be partners, it could be anyone, right? And it comes from this place of not seeing the value in yourself, right? Maybe there are things that you know that you're good at. There are things that you know that you excel in. But when it comes to things of an emotional nature, that's where everything starts to break down. And so at times, it's been much more convenient to kind of push those things to the side, right? Focus on what is comfortable, focus on, you know, where your skill set is. You know, I often think that Capricorns show their love and devotion for people by providing, right? It's like, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to earn all the money and I'm going to do all the things, and, you know, I'm going to look after you. It doesn't necessarily translate to people who are more emotional by default than you are. But again, it might well be the situation of realizing that you don't know what it is to be loved, and so it is very difficult for you in return to love other people. It's almost like there's a little bit of something that is missing here somewhere. Let's just pull another card, please. We've got the High Priestess again. I mean, some of you might well be dealing with a Pisces. It might be a Pisces that is proving to be problematic, and we have, or causing some sort of problem for you. And we have the Death card, which is Scorpio. And we've got all three water signs on the table here. We've got Pisces, we've got Scorpio, and we've got Cancer. You feel to me like you are swimming in it. Well, swimming, there, that's probably pushing the boat a little bit. You feel a little bit like you are drowning in the amount of emotion that you are experiencing at the moment. Now, Saturn's moved into Pisces, and Saturn is you know, your ruling planet. So it could well be that it's difficult to make the kind of adjustment into this new kind of Piscean energy. I mean, I believe Aquarius was a completely forgotten the words that I was going to use, right? But Aquarius and Capricorn, both traditional rulers of, or both rulers of Saturn in some way, or Saturn's their ruler, right? I forget which way around it is. Either way, Saturn is very at home in those signs. Makes a lot of sense when Saturn is in those signs. Saturn moves into Pisces. It's a breaking down of boundaries, it's a breaking down of structure, it's breaking down of rules, it's breaking down of all of these things. And there might well be an emotional breaking down that is happening here for you. Not to say that you're having an emotional breakdown, but that there are emotions that are being revealed to you that you possibly did not understand that you were experiencing. You know, we've got the Death card here speaking to transformation, but also speaking to ends. You know, ends and beginnings, and I love the Deviant Moon for this because it represents both within the same card, because death is pregnant, right? Everything's in a cycle, and I think it's a realization that things are shifting and moving out of your control now. Things are transforming in a way that potentially is kind of problematic for you, and additionally, it's bringing up all of these emotions that you weren't even aware that you had. Like I said, I think for the most part it is related to an old situation rather than 100% being about the new situation. And this is why it feels so destabilizing. You know? And there's Queen of Cups in reverse. Seven of Wands. Okay, we've got that feeling of needing to fight it. And Seven of Cups is confusion. I mean, if something's inherently confusing and you're trying to make sense of it, but you're trying to make sense of the emotional confusion from a perspective that is not emotional, I feel like you're just going to end up going around and around in circles, and before you know it, and you get that place where you're kind of barely above water, and the overwhelming feeling of it all is a sense of absolute poverty, a sense of loss, or a fear of loss. And that fear of loss relates very strongly to the way that you are struggling to maintain something being the way that it always has been. The thing is, Capricorn, I do feel like there's an evolution of you that is being required rather than the situation. I mean, I'm always banging on, if you want to make changes in your exterior world, like, you really have to address what needs changing within you first, and I do think May is a month of highlighting that to you. You know, we've got the Page of Pentacles, which for me is a card, it's a student card and stuff like that, but it really is a card of understanding the value of something for the first time. Maybe it is that you're understanding the value of something perhaps slightly too late, and it's the recognition of that that's sending you all over the shop. Because the Knight of Pentacles is in reverse. Ideally, what we would want is for that to be the right way up, and then we've got some sort of movement happening. This is Virgo energy, and it in the upright it would talk to an attention to detail, and it seems like because there has been a lack of attention to a particular set of details, and these might just be about the emotions that are going on in you, that energy doesn't get to go anywhere. You know, all of the knights represent movement, even the Knight of Pentacles being the slowest knight in the deck. It's earth energy, right? But it is at least movement. Slow, steady, dependable, reliable, you know, lots of attention to detail, that sort of thing. But here it's just an absolute halt. It's a stop. So you recognize the value of something and you're trying to hold on to it, but you're trying to hold on to it without evolving into the new situation, right? Without allowing yourself to change. And we have that Ten of Wands, which is a card of burden. Now, because it's a 10, it represents an ending of sorts, and so in some ways the Ten of Wands is like, well, it's unsustainable to carry on in this way for too long. To which then, you know, an end is coming. It's breaking one way or another. But I do feel like there's a wider set of consequences here that you are only just starting to make contact with, right? Only just being able to see them play out. And that desperation that I was talking about right at the beginning feels to be very, very strong here. I mean, even here, because we've got the Seven of Wands, which is, you know, kind of like, it's not even fighting. It's like, I can't deal with this, right? I mean, literally hands up to protect yourself. What he's not doing is going on the attack. And I don't think it's necessary for you to go on the attack, but also I think it's important for you to understand that you are not being attacked, Capricorn. That actually there's just something playing out here, and the way that it's butting up against your reality is to prompt you into a kind of evolution, right? One where your emotions get to see the light of day for a change. And before you get on and tell me that, you know, Capricorns aren't robots and they, you know, of course they experience emotions and stuff like that. Yes, I entirely agree. Absolutely 100%. You know, on a day-to-day basis, you have no issue with that. But Capricorns really do hold on to things very, very deeply. And if you start compartmentalizing, which I'm sure we talked about in a different reading a couple of months ago, it helps you focus. I'm talking about things like childhood trauma and stuff like that, Capricorn, right? It helps you focus in the short term, right? And you are able to achieve goals that other people can only dream of, right? But you've got this kind of these difficult, very, very deep emotional issues that don't ever get to see the light of day, right? They're not just compartmentalized, they're locked in an iron box and, you know, padlocked, and then the key thrown away. This is all bubbling up to the surface, and it requires attention. Not to punish you, not as some sort of hideous karmic retribution, but to actually allow you to start accessing feelings of contentment. We're talking about essentially the relationship that you have with yourself first and foremost above anything else. And Capricorns do have a very difficult relationship with themselves. But I think it's because, we've talked about this before, right? Capricorn is the sea goat. But you have to let the water in. You have to allow yourself to be in the water to notice that you have the ability to be in there. And I think part of the fact that part of the reason why Capricorns have this kind of inbuilt trauma almost comes as part of the experience is because you are so sensitive, and yet it is the earth side of you that is cultivated. It's the earth side of you that is valued, and the emotional, watery side of you doesn't get a look in. It gets repressed. Bit by bit, that starts to work its way out, particularly if the universe is conspiring to put you in a position whereby acknowledgement and processing of your emotions is really the only route forwards. Tell me about this Knight of Pentacles. So we have the Page of Swords appearing there with his bionic eye. What do we have here? We have the Fool. Ten of Wands. Got the Moon in reverse. And we've got the Six of Cups. I mean, that's pretty strong, Capricorn. I mean, there you are at the bottom of the deck as the Queen of Pentacles, right? A queen that is associated with the nurturing of the self, right? Taking care of the self. Ow. Put that knee up there. Right. What currently eludes you about the situation that you are in is that it has the potential to be so much more than you perceive at this point. Right? The consequences of whatever is going on here are not that you get punished, but that you get released, Capricorn. You know, it's almost like there's a fear of moving through your very deep emotions lest you be savaged by a fish, as is going on here with the Fool. Like, that strikes you as being a very foolish thing to do whatsoever, is to go near the water when you know that there are fucking piranha or something like that in there. But at the same time, if there's any hope of a situation moving forwards, it's necessary for you to start engaging with the problems that are sitting in the water. Now, if you want to be able to splash about at your will in here, there's going to be some sort of action that removes what is difficult in the water. And then that's represented here by these sharp-teethed piranha type things that are biting on your leg, you know. It's about freedom, and it's about liberation, and it's more importantly, it's about you seeing that that is the case. You know, because with this talks about mental expansion and the acquisition of new information, right? The Moon in reverse is about things being revealed, and it's here with the Six of Cups. And I wonder if the issue, I mean, for some of you, the issue might actually revolve around children. Like, there's something being revealed this month that is burdensome to you with relation to, you know, in relation to your children. But I think it's more likely that it's in relation to your childhood, your position as, at some point, a child, Capricorn. Because as I've kept saying right the way through this, right, there's something here that's missing in the way that you relate to yourself. There's something missing here in the way that you choose to nurture or care for yourself, right? And it is the emotional aspect of you. It doesn't get as much of a look in as it should. And so what we've got here is a situation whereby it's triggering the shit out of you, for sure, but not for the sake of it. It's trying to show you where the pattern is playing out. And as such, there is an opportunity to learn and choose to do things differently this time. It's actually about reclaiming your power back rather than giving it away. And I do feel like you feel, maybe it's not giving it away, but that it's being taken from you in some respect. Like I said, it feels like the reins have been handed over to somebody else to be in charge, and this has sent you into a proper Seven of Cups, complete, it's a bit of an emotional head fuck actually. But once you realise what your subconscious is actually responding to, there's an opportunity to draw a line under this. There's an opportunity to stop struggling against the change. Maybe it's because the change hasn't been instigated by you, and actually allow this to flow a little bit more easily. There's a lack of cooperation here from you. And I feel like you'll know what that refers to. Like, there's something that you're resisting, there's something that you're very hesitant over, because it means giving up something that you're not prepared to give up at this point. But realizing that sometimes the universe takes the reins from you and does its own thing, and that it falls to you to respond to it. I keep quoting this woman that I did a personal reading for, but it's absolutely spot on. Like life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. Now, the 90% of previous reactions is coming up to the surface, but there's an opportunity to consciously choose to do things differently. Consciously pay attention to what is playing out here and saying, well, what can I do to release myself? Right? Not from this situation, but from the pain that I am feeling of this situation, the emotional confusion I am feeling about this situation. How can I invest in me? What is it that I need to release? What is it that I need to let go? It's underneath the Six of Swords. I've got the World. I mean, there is something definitely trying to come to an end around you, Capricorn. And I don't know if you are acting as as much of an obstacle as you think that you are to it. I don't even know if this is a conscious desire to be an obstacle, or whether you are really just so consumed by your emotions at the moment that you're actually not really paying attention to what's going on outside of you. I can see both of those things being true. But there's something profound here for you to learn, and there's a benefit that can be drawn for you in the learning of it. If you cease to hold on to so tightly that which you think you should have, that which you think shouldn't be going away from you. Because this Five of Pentacles here says, like, whether you know it or not, like, what you've got right now is buttons. Compared to what you could have, it's buttons. And if you allow the changes in you to do, the things that are surfacing in you for change, if you allow that to happen, there's a whole bright new story that is writing for you. And it could well be just simply because your subconscious doesn't get to rule the show quite so much as it has been doing. I think like personal work is a cool kind of time travel. Because you sit with yourself and you sit with your past, and you really dig into it. You do some work on it, and you start to see things differently, because you're bringing your adult mind to a situation that you experienced when you were a child, and you start seeing it for what it is. And sometimes it helps to be able to realize that a lot of this stuff wasn't your responsibility. It helps to be able to contextualize things in a way that you couldn't do when you were a child. But when you come back to you in the here and now, things have changed, and it can be really, really subtle, but things have changed. The way that you see the world has changed. The way that you value things changes. I think this Moon card is absolutely extraordinary. It's really, really good because it shows us as marionettes. Being puppeteered, as it were, by the moon. Like, we are literally puppets of our subconscious. There's your subconscious. There's your conscious mind. It's the realization of how much you have been puppeted by your subconscious that is really being revealed to you this month. Now, as ever, free will reigns supreme, and you can choose to do absolutely nothing with that information if you don't want to. But the fact will remain that things will be difficult, and things will stay difficult, you know? If you allow to end what it is that is trying to end, if you allow yourself to evolve, then the energy of the Fool gets to be yours in the best possible way, rather than having your feet, you know, your legs nibbled by fish. You could actually go for a swim. It feels to me like you need to release your grasp on something because you're holding on to it so tight. It feels to me like you're damaging yourself and not even knowing that you're doing it, not even recognizing that it's happening. There will come a point where that recognition occurs, but it might be a little bit too late to do something about it then. You know, we're trying to get you from a Five of Pentacles situation to a Queen of Pentacles situation, where you are showing up not only authentically in the fullest sense of who you are, but you are doing it from a place of nurturing yourself rather than trying to cling to something that is changing and evolving in front of you. It's like something's changing and you're refusing to keep up. And so May, and we've got a Mercury retrograde through most of May. I think it's the 14th or 15th that it goes direct. It stations direct. And then you've got, you know, the post-shadow kind of cool down, as it were, for a fortnight after that. So like most of May is taken up with this kind of energy. But Mercury retrograde is about tidying things up. It's about bringing, you know, proper completion to things. It's about dotting the I's and crossing the T's. It's about going back over your own behaviours and motivations and actions and going, well, am I doing this right? You know, sometimes it's about sitting down with people and having a conversation where you allow things to complete, and that might involve you letting go of some things that you're holding on to, because quite simply, like, a lot of what you might be holding on to is continued trauma, and it's not necessary, Capricorn. You can let it go. And you are not diminished by that. I feel like more of you are more concerned about being completely washed away by a tidal wave of your own emotion, and everything starts to fall apart in that. I don't think that that's something that you need to worry about. But whatever this is, it is really quite insistent, and it doesn't feel like it's going to leave you alone. And just accept that it's not doing anything anymore. You know, there's too much energy behind this. And it seems to be picking you up in the swell and saying, right, Capricorn, it's time for you to change as well. And if you tense yourself up and resist, you're going to sink like a stone. If you loosen up, if you relax, if you take account of the changing situation, you know, only two certainties in life: death and taxes. And I would say I would tack on the end of that one, and everything changes. Nothing stays the same. This is where you are, Capricorn. So I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. We're going to have a look at May specifically. So if you're interested in that, you know what to do. It's the first link in the description box, or you can come over to Circle, whatever you like. If neither of those apply, I just feel like there's going to be a few testing moments here for you. But the more you are willing to sit with your deepest hurts and see how they relate to a particularly restricted mindset over a particular thing, the more benefit that you will get from this energy, and the more progress actually you can make. It's knowing when to grip the steering wheel tightly and, I guess, letting Jesus take the wheel, right? Alright. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.